guys, welcome to Beyond Breaks. I am your host, Kevin Stewart. And today, guys, I am joined in studio with my good friend, Keith Nichol from Carrera Capital. He is an awesome human being. I can't wait to have this conversation today because he is going to bring some really good conversation to us today. So, guys, I'm super excited. Keith, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Yeah, we'll go all the way back. You know, I grew up in Lowell, Michigan, which is on the west side of the state, a really small town where football is life, and it became my life. And I grew up going through the Lowell system. I had a lot of success as a young man, and went on to play beyond high school football, played at Oklahoma, and then at Michigan State in the D'Antonio era. So we had a lot of success, a lot of great players, some Hall of Fame players like Kirk Cousins, and those guys were all there.
You guys were good for sure.
Yeah, we had a good team and won some Big Ten titles and had won some great bowl games. And, you know, beyond football and after some camps with the Bears and the Redskins and some tryout stuff with the Lions, went into finance and doing what I'm doing now, which is running a private wealth advisory firm, which I've been doing for the last 10 years and in that business for the last 10 years, and conceived Carrera Capital about 3 years ago through a merger and acquisition with some other folks. So it's been a great journey so far. We're just getting started, hopefully, and trying to build the beast.
I love it. There's so many ways that we could go with this podcast today. And we were talking a little bit beforehand on the different subjects and things we could do. Because, you know, we've been friends for a while now in all sorts of different facets between the golf course, just mutual friends, and just starting to live life together. But I think our friendship relationship is still developing, which I really enjoy. And so I've seen a lot of growth with you over the last, 6 or 7 years that we've known each other. And starting Carrera Capital is one of those things. But your past and your history and the things that you've done is pretty impressive. Like you bring up football, for example.
Yeah.
It's a pretty known fact in the show. Go blue, but I still love green. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm one of those weird Michigan fans that I root for the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I keep having Michigan State former athletes on this show.
This is you're a smart man.
I guess so. It makes a lot of sense. It's working out really well so far because you guys are always solid. It works out really well. So tell us a little bit. Let's back up. Let's talk a little bit about football for a second. So you played football for Michigan State. I didn't realize you tried out for the Lions. I actually didn't know that until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, I was, projected to be kind of a late round draft pick, which is, anything goes at that point. And go undrafted, had an opportunity in camps with the Bears, the Redskins, and then kind of a last minute tryout with the Lions. And that was actually kind of cool because a couple former teammates from Oklahoma, Ryan Broyles and those guys were at the Lions at the time. So you got to see them and go through that. But, the NFL is an interesting business. It's actually no different than a lot of businesses where it can come down to a lot of timing and need at the time. And the margin for error is so small where essentially all the players are so good and elite that, there's a handful that are certainly above the rest, but for the most part, everybody's pretty aligned and pretty good, that it does just come down to roster need and depth and timing. So for me, the timing never shaped up, but, and if you ask my family, probably they'd say, hey, listen, you could have kept going, could have kept pushing through and probably would have stuck, but I never wanted to be like a journeyman in the NFL. Like I looked at it like it's a total business decision for me too. And I was entrepreneurial and business minded and wanted to go and run my own business someday. And, I probably jumped out of football sooner than a lot of my friends and family thought I should have. But I knew that going forward was going to be the best thing for me long term and one of the best decisions I ever made.
So when you're young, you're coming up, you're in high school, you're now at Michigan State. Was during that time when you were training for that, was your goal to play professional football? Is that where your mind was at? Were you thinking, I'm going to be a pro football player? Or were you thinking, I'm going to be an awesome business owner? Like, where was your head at in that time?
Yeah, so I think it's important to reflect on the context of the environment that I grew up in, right? Often, almost 100% of the time, the environment that you grow up in so much shapes and molds who you are and what you become. So for me, I grew up in a small town where it was a very blue collar and you put your head down and go to work and no complaining. It wasn't saturated with talent. But we had a handful of guys that were very talented. And, but I grew up seeing a lot of winning and success in football, but nobody went on to play even Division I. Even our best players went on to Division II in Grand Valley and things like that. So when I was growing up, I was like, hey, someday hopefully I could play Division II football. That'd be really cool. But as things progressed and worked my butt off, and my dad was a big part of that and really pouring into me and giving me every opportunity to train and grow as an athlete, then, I saw quickly in going to camps and 7-on-7 tournaments and that I can take this above and beyond just, Division II which was my dream at the time. Then my dream became Division I and got some Division I scholarship offers as a sophomore, which at the time was very young. So I had a lot of success early, recruited early. And then, I think from that point, you start to say, okay, well, if I'm having this kind of success at this age, that I can be successful in college, which you now believe you're going to have, that where does this thing end? And then NFL starts to become a dream and a vision, but you have to perform also at the same time. So as proof of concept comes out, just like in business, and you prove that you can do it and run with the most talented guys out there and play and compete and win, then you start to say like this dream is endless. And the NFL was certainly a part of that.
So the dream actually grew as you were growing into the sport. It wasn't like, hey, I want to become an NFL star. No. So therefore I'm going to do this, this, and this. It was, I'm just going to get a little better, get a little better, get a little better.
Yeah. Like I wasn't a kid, that was 5 years old saying I want to play in the NFL someday. I loved extreme sports. So we had like dirt bikes and skateboards and, bicycle. Like I was doing that kind of stuff. I only got into football because my buddies were playing it. And I was like the last one out probably. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it because now all my friends are playing. So now I want to play. And that's how I got into it.
So, and you've got a pretty famous play in Michigan State football history.
Yeah.
Pretty well known. And I'm not even a huge Michigan State fan and I know it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean,
I know you get a lot of attention still to this day because of that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, totally. The D'Antonio era was saturated with really special moments. And I was fortunate to be a part of that, either directly or indirectly through my career. And even going back into the Notre Dame game where we had the trick field goal with a walk-off to win in overtime. So the play that you're talking about is the Hail Mary play against Wisconsin in 2011, which is essentially going at the two best teams at the time in the Big Ten. Michigan State and Wisconsin are playing each other with Russell Wilson, Kirk on our side, and NFL players spread out through both teams. Is pretty intense if you reflect back on that game. College game days there. So it's the game of the week. Turns into a night game, and everything's on the line. If Wisconsin wins, which they're favored to do, they go on to a national title game. And if we win, we take over the Big Ten, and now we're into the Big Ten title game. So a lot on the line for both teams, a lot of back and forth. Wisconsin gets out early. We come back. We're leading into halftime. They come back in the third and fourth quarter. It's now tied, and we have, essentially about 40 seconds left to win the game. We drive down a little bit. We get to the 44-yard line with 3 seconds left. And what people don't know about that play is that it was originally called to the field, which is the wide side of the field where there's more space. And the play was designed so that I would be the tip man, which is the guy 2 yards in the end zone, mostly because of my size and the ability to jump and get my hands on the ball. And then BJ was supposed to be in the spot that I ended up in. Okay. So we called a timeout, go to the boundary to tighten up the field. They put BJ into the spot I was supposed to be in. And I now go into the spot that he was originally designed to be in, because he had a phenomenal game. If you go back and look at that game, everything he got his hands on, he was catching and coming down. It was incredible. Hands. Yeah, it was like he went off. And so, we call the play, throw it in the end zone. Kirk throws it to the exact spot, 2 yards in the end zone. BJ hits off his helmet, off a little deflection, the spot I was supposed to be in, and I end up catching it where he was supposed to be. Then it turns into a little bit of a wrestling match, and really get the ball barely over. They go through a review process for about 10 minutes to figure out who won that game. And unfortunately,
because you leaned it across.
Yeah. The eye in the sky doesn't lie, as we say, So there's a final turn of my body, got the ball across, and that was the game.
So tell me about that night. Cause I always wished I had played in big sporting events like that. Like I've always watched them. I've always seen them on TV. I've always been the guy that's like, I love watching teams celebrate, even if it's not my team. Like I love watching teams win championships. I like seeing the reactions, the actual feelings that come out of players when they've done something great.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, Do you reflect on that still? What was that like? What was that feeling like, the ecstasy of going back in and realizing, holy crap, we just did it?
Yeah, it's funny. Like you, when you grow up playing and you've invested your whole life into something, you envision a lot of special moments. As a kid, you envision winning a game in overtime, or so it's a lot. It's funny. Like you've almost like pictured this happening at some point, and you, to some almost arrogant extent, you expect it to happen. And that, as an athlete, you have to wire yourself that way. As you expect to win, you expect to do certain things, which is why things are very anticlimactic at times. But in that moment, because of the review process and everything that it came down to, it was a very dramatic finish to the game. Right, 10-minute review. BJ and I are standing next to each other the whole time on the sideline, pacing around. We're getting asked, "Did you get across?" I'm like, "You tell me. I couldn't see anything."
You're like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I had my head down. It was just going as hard as I could that way.
And so when they finally, I'm sitting next to Coach D'Antonio, and he's saying, "Hey, we should get this call. We should, win this game, but they got to call it." And when they did announce it, it's just, such an adrenaline rush. And there's pictures of, BJ, we're jumping on my back and we're celebrating, and you almost black out in the moment because the adrenaline rush is so heavy that I only really remember a lot of the moments through the pictures that we see. I'm like, oh, I kind of remember that happening now. But I do remember running over to the student section with my brother because he was on the team as well. And as a sophomore receiver, and then running over to where I knew my parents were, celebrating with them. You do the interview process, you're in the locker room, and people don't realize how long it takes to go through all that. You get interviewed, you shower up, you go in the locker room, you leave. And then then the night kind of starts. And we had a fun kind of apartment set up at the time. Guys like Draymond Green and Adrian Payne, other basketball players and other football players, Benny Fowler, were all on the same hall that I was in, an apartment called Riverwalk. And we had fun. We celebrated the night, and it was definitely like one of the most memorable moments of my college career.
Gosh, that's so fun.
Yeah,
that's great. So fun. I wanted for a long time to ask you about that, so I'm glad we got it on camera.
Yeah.
Because I've never had that conversation with you, though knowing the play, knowing about it, but never hearing it from your point of view.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to hear you share that and hear you go through that. So you're finishing at Michigan State, you're considering going to play pro football. You end up not going into that piece. Like you said, life happens and career shift. So you then shift from there, did you go straight into the financial world?
So I actually, I was still figuring out what was going to work out in football. I was making decisions around what I wanted to do. I went into medical device for 6 months, I think, just kind of figuring some things out. Now I studied finance and supply chain at Michigan State. So in the end, I knew that was always going to be probably my path, was something along those lines in the corporate space. So got introduced through really a mentorship. I was mentoring Matt Sokol, who ended up being a great tight end for us, played in the NFL for a little while. His dad runs a great group benefits business called Wilshire Benefits Group here in Troy. When I was mentoring Matt a little bit, giving him like the way of the land and how to be successful with Coach D and at Michigan State, Dave pulled me aside one time and said, "Hey, I think you'd be great in the private wealth advisory space, in the wealth management space." Now, keep in mind, I grew up in Lowell, Michigan. Like I didn't know what a financial advisor was. It never really heard.
And how old are you at this time?
I would have been 22 or 23. So I said, yeah, but I'm always open to listen. That's one thing in business, is that you always have to be open and receptive to people, especially if you can be a good judge of character and say, hey, okay, this guy seems like a great person. He's successful too. Maybe I should listen to what he has to say. Doesn't mean you have to act on it, but you should listen to what people have to say. And so I did that, and that conversation changed my life. I ended up going into the financial planning space, built my business, and then went fully independent into what's called an RIA, Registered Investment Advisor. That whole conversation changed the trajectory of my life.
And gosh, how true is that? Like, if there's one thing that people, I think, if they take one thing out of this show, it's what you just said. Look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Open the door. Go and look and see what's behind it. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to commit to do it right then and there. But I think a lot of people don't have the guts to just look behind the door.
Right.
And your ability to do that, like you said, has completely changed the course and trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
Because people watching right now, guys, you watching, you may not realize this is one of the most successful people I know. Like Keith, you are extremely successful. You're very, very good at what you do.
Thank you.
Very good at what you do. And you have found a niche that fits you like a glove. Fits you better than that suit, which is tough because that suit fits you really well, but it fits you so well because you have this great passion between wanting to help people, growing and developing relationships, and taking care of others. And you do it in a financial space, which you obviously understand very well. And I think a lot of that happened because you were willing to just look behind the curtain, look behind the door and take some mentorship and see what happens, which is really, really fun. So you're growing into that. You started Carrera how long ago? You said 3
years
right?
ago.
3 years ago. Tell me about that as you're transitioning from a space that you probably were pretty comfortable in, having a lot of success in.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with other people because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of success in one space and went, I think I could take this a level further and do it my way.
Yeah.
Right. Frank Sinatra style, do it my way. Tell me about that transition and kind of what happened in your mind to say, this is a step that I should or want to take.
Yeah. So I think, I appreciate you saying all those kind of things. I really appreciate it. But, I started with a large financial planning institution, nationwide financial planning institution, because my thought was I wanted to learn and be trained in what is a very complex industry. I want to learn how to do this thing the right way. And that's some of the humility you have to have in business and as an athlete is to say, like, listen, I might be confident, but you don't know anything. And you got to get trained and figure out how to do this the right way before you anticipate, before you go on kind of on your own, if you will. But when I was selecting the financial planning institution I wanted to align with, I also wanted one that gave a lot of, freedom to build the business the way I wanted to within that kind of corporate structure. So did that for, 7 years-ish, approximately. And then, brought one of my closest friends into the business, who was successful in his own right in management consulting, with the goal of one day coming together formally. Now, along the way, informally, we're sharing overhead and team and staff and that type of thing. And because I had started the career before him, was very supportive in that because I want to see him be very successful. And then, we had the opportunity to acquire a book of business and be the succession plan to one of the most successful wealth advisors in the country within that financial planning institution that I was previously aligned with. So, in life and in business and athletics, things always work out in the end the way they're supposed to. And it is about the alignment of the stars at times. And you have some control of that, right? And who you surround yourself with. It doesn't guarantee, working hard doesn't guarantee success, but certainly aligning yourself with great people and working your butt off gives you the best chance to succeed. So that was a great example of that, bringing Jake in, looking out for him, and what I thought he could be very successful in, going through that merger and acquisition, launching Carrera, which at the end of the day, being fully independent, owning my business free and clear and outright and running it the way I wanted to was always the dream and the vision as an entrepreneur. But I wanted to learn how to do things the right way, and we did that. And now we're, that was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to exit that financial planning institution and do what we're doing now. The best thing I've ever done, but I wouldn't want to have to do it again.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. And I'm very glad we did it.
People don't realize the leap of faith.
Yeah.
They see the end result. So they see what you are now and they see where you're sitting now and they go, well, he got lucky. He got this, he got that. But what they don't see is they don't see the giant pear it took to go do that.
Yeah.
It takes some real guts to do that, and the incredible amount of work, the late nights, the long talks with your family, right? To go, is this something I really want? And what does this mean?
Right.
And I would say the same thing. Would I do it all over again? Yes. But do I want to start over again? Absolutely not. I could, but I definitely don't want to, because the growing pains and the restarts and gosh, it was tough.
Yeah. We talked to some of the greatest, entrepreneurs in the world, and they'll often say, hey, listen, and if I knew I was going to get to where I'm at today, but I had to go through it all over again, I probably wouldn't do it. I don't know if I would have it in me to do it all over again, knowing the amount of pain and challenges that you have along the way. Now, the good thing about entrepreneurship is that nobody can explain to you how difficult it is, and everybody just says it's hard. but you don't know until you're in it. So you just kind of jump into it and go. And then you realize what it's all about.
And it's funny because when you're in the middle of it too, right?
Yeah.
Like, because we've both done this and people don't. And sometimes I don't. Like, if I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think about, okay, what are some of the struggles? I know there were plenty of them.
Yeah.
But you start to lose sight of them.
Yeah, because there's so many of them.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
And the specifics you lose sight of. But I think it's for me, and I don't know if it's this way for you, so tell me if it is, it starts to become outweighed by what you have now. You start seeing where life is now and you go, it was for a reason.
Yeah.
It's for a purpose. And where I am now is amazing. Again, I know how tough the struggle was to get there, but doggone it, like me, I feel it's worth it all the time.
Yeah.
But that's the way we're built and wired.
Right.
Not all people are that way.
Right.
But a lot of this show has been centered and focused on finding your passion, being the person that you're meant to be, being the person that you're meant to be on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I get a chance to sit and talk with people that I feel really have reached that pinnacle of you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now, right?
Yeah,
in life. And I think both of us know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And that's a very comforting feeling and makes me go, doggone it, it was worth it.
Yeah.
How cool is this?
Yeah.
To be where we're at right now in life.
Totally. You have a great business. You have wife, kids, all healthy. Everybody's doing great. And, I was sitting down with a great friend and client yesterday, just catching up. No business talk, really just catching up on life. And he's like, 5 years ago, if you would draw out your ideal life, it wouldn't be as good as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about your kids, your wife, the house you live in, the things you do, where you get to golf and do things at, and where your business is at, and the opportunity in front of you. But that was true, but it's also like you earned that and you deserve it. If you're willing to put the time in and sacrifice what it takes to get to a certain point.
Let's talk about balance for a second. You mentioned, because you're kind of talking about the have it all life, right? And I fully believe in my DNA that you can have it all.
Yeah.
And some people think that's not possible. They think if you're going to be successful and you're going to find super high level success in business, you're going to have to sacrifice family, friends, this and that. And at times there's a sacrificial piece to that.
Right.
My wife has sacrificed a ton for us to be where we're at.
Yeah.
My kids have sacrificed time with me. I've had to sacrifice time with my kids.
Yeah.
But we get to have it all because of that. So how do you deal with the balance of that? Because you're not just a good business owner, you're a good father and a good husband.
Yeah.
And so how have you taken the time and how do you focus through the balance of all the pieces of your life in maintaining a great company and business and a great family?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying all that because I do pride myself on not just the business, but the to have it all. The and word is a word I use a lot. And I want this and that. I want to be able to do it all. And certainly being there for my family and my kids is something that's very important. So I think ultimately what it comes down to is you can have it all if you manage your life and your time in accordance to what is important to you. And so I find windows in my day to see my kids and to be there with my kids. And here's an example. We get up early. Let's call it 4:45 each day because taking care of yourself is important. So I'll go exercise and work out. And I do that specifically around that time because I also know that coming home, my kids are going to be getting up and eating breakfast around a certain time. So I make sure that I'm walking through the door as they're sitting down to do that. I eat breakfast with them really quickly, say time, kiss them, play with them a little bit, go get ready for work. I see them kind of on the way out, kiss them again. And I'm off to work for the day. Right. And then I'll come home if I can, twice a week is my goal for lunch to see them really quick around 12:30. And then I know that I'm probably going to be out on business 3 times a week. And when I do that, because I really like having dinner with my kids, I really do enjoy that. I make it a point that I'm going to be home for dinner and I'm going to see them. And then if I got to go back out for a business meeting or something, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So long story short, I'm making sure that I have, 3 dinners a week with my kids at least. And I'm seeing them for lunch at least twice a week. And then I'm seeing them every single day for breakfast. And then I'm putting them to bed, at least twice a week.
So just like everything in success in life, it's plain intentionality.
It's just be intentional. And I'm not, people might look at me and say, well, that's not good enough. I'd say, well, to me, that works really well for us. And I spend, weekends are dedicated to them in a lot of ways. Saturday, Sunday breakfast with them is not negotiable.
Yeah.
We're doing that all the time and taking them out to play. So what weekends are very dedicated to them too. So I make it about the quality of the time. I can't be there, for 8 hours a day. But when I am with them, it's intentional and it's positive.
And the thing is I believe that your kids are going to always grow to know that dad was there, right? That's been a big goal of mine. I don't want my kids to think that or ever have that moment where like, well, yeah, we had a pretty cool childhood growing up, but I don't know my father.
Yeah.
Like he was never there. And how many people do we know? I'm guarantee people that don't have relationships with their children because they sacrificed that completely for success.
Right.
Right. And I believe success is defined more by the legacy we leave behind. And a big part of that legacy we leave behind is our children.
Yeah.
And we have to instill into them what it means to be a good father and a good husband. And we got to show them.
Well, one of the favorite things I hear people say is, at some point your kids are going to figure you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when my son or my daughters grow up to figure me out and my wife out, I want them to realize in a moment, like, hey, dad did everything he could to be there with us. I don't miss sporting events too. Like that is a big, hard stop. And I coach a lot of my kids' stuff. I'm not going to miss a sporting event. So I want them to know, like, dad built this and he's worked his butt off, but he made every opportunity to be there for us.
Well, and they need to see, and I love that because I know that they see that dad does this for us.
Yeah.
Okay. That we are the reason, we are the why behind why dad does this. It's not just about you and your ego.
Yeah.
Right? Because most people, I think, start a business and grow and want to go all the way up because of their ego.
Yeah.
But I think the real ones like you, they want to go up because they want to do something bigger, something that's beyond them. And it's not about their ego. It's about something bigger and a broader vision of what they want out of life.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, sports has taught me a lot. And, I had a chance to be around some of the greatest leaders in all of sports, and D'Antonio and Izzo. And all they were about was setting a certain standard of what you want in your life. And never deviating from that.
Mm-hmm.
The standard is the standard. And I pour that into our team and our business, and I pour that into our life, and I pour that into everybody, and my kids at home, and how we do things at home. There's a certain standard we're gonna live by, and we're not gonna deviate from that. But ultimately, even if you are selfish in business, the way you're gonna become most successful is to make other people successful. If that's your only focus, is just to, like, how do I go as far as I can selfishly? Well, make everybody else successful around you. If you're unselfish and you're doing it for the right reasons, make everybody else around you successful, and you'll see their lives grow and prosper. Your life by inertia will also be better, and the quality of your life overall and how you feel becomes so much better. So that's what I love about my business is, like, I know that just pouring into my clients and making their life better and doing the right thing makes their life and their kids' lives better. I also know that making our team members' opportunity to grow better, that their lives become better, their kids' lives become better, their wives' lives become better, and they come into work better because of that and perform at a higher level. Like, if you just focus on making everybody else successful, then you are going to become successful.
Gosh, I love that you said that, because I feel like that's been my theme of this year. Like, that's been my big thing, where as I'm looking into the second half of my career, right? I'm on the back half of it now. That's what I want to do. Now, all I want to do is help build and grow people around me that I can teach, train, help, whatever I need to do to help make them successful. And I can tell you, that's what I've been focusing on this year. And the way that life has paid me back because of that, I can't even describe.
Right.
And it is provided so much more joy in my life to watch other people be successful now than myself.
Yeah.
And so I love hearing you say that, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one, and people are looking at me going, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? But hearing somebody else focus in on that, and I know that about you because of the way you're focusing the company now on mentoring, even mentoring friends of mine's sons.
Yeah.
right? And spending and taking the time to have discussions with them about what it's like to do what you do and how to do it the right way. And doing it from a mentorship spot of just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's really special. And it's a quality that most people don't have, and probably a quality most people don't know about you. So I'm glad we're exposing it right now. Because it's a quality that people don't realize, because you're not just somebody who's good at wealth management. You're way more than that, right? You're doing things that involve impacting people's lives at a high level.
Yeah.
Which is super.
That's the best feeling.
That's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're here to do. We're here to make other people's lives better and to be remembered for something more than just the vocation that we have or had. Right. I don't want to be remembered for selling a lot of houses.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, if that's what I'm remembered for, I messed up my life. I want to be remembered for something way past that, and the impact, the positive impact that I laid down in people's lives.
Yeah. That's
what I want. And I feel like you're right on that level as well.
Yeah. And it's the best place to be. And so, been a firm believer. There's another quote I meant to share with you earlier from the same client that I was with yesterday. And it was, whatever you say yes to, you're saying no to everything else.
Ooh, that's
so,
too.
And I was like, explain that a little bit more. He's like, well, you said yes to have, a happy hour with me and spend some time with me, which means you and I are both saying no to being home right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to protect that. Like, you got to be very careful and selective around what you're saying yes to, because anytime you say yes, you're saying no to everything else in your life. And, which I absolutely loved. I haven't stopped thinking about it.
It's a great perspective. I haven't thought of it from that level, but that's a great perspective.
Right. So,
man, that's impactful. That's super impactful. So you've grown Carrera, right? The last 3 years. That's going great. You just got 30 in your 30s.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So congratulations. That's super exciting. We were talking about that a little bit before. So you're honored with that. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So D Business every year does a recognition of what they feel to be the top people, mostly within, I guess, Southeast Michigan or, east of Lansing, I guess, individuals in the business sector, corporate sector. They select 30 individuals that are in their 30s. And, I was fortunate to be one of those guys. And that was a big honor. And, not that you do things for recognition and praise, but it's certainly nice when you receive it. And then, ultimately, and it's a little cliche, maybe people feel it's taboo, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, I didn't do this thing alone and I'm not doing it alone. And there are some really talented people in our firm that are doing tremendous things. And that really is a reflection of all the good things that we're doing inside the business and that we're doing for our clients and everybody within our network. And so it really was like a reflection of Carrera, not me so much, because essentially I'm just a reflection of them.
Yeah. So what's next for you guys? If you're looking forward to the next 5 years, like you said, 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have pictured this.
Yeah.
But now that you're starting to get into that mindset of realizing, holy cow, this could get pretty wild. What do you see as the next 5 years of Keith Nichol?
Yeah, I think.
What's your next level?
Well, hopefully I can continue to stay in front of my kids' lives and be there for them and be as intentional as I have been up to this point. Like, that's very important to me. My son is 5.5, so he'll be 10. And you see how fast it's already going. So it's like, I want to make sure that I'm right there to enjoy every moment with the kids and my family. So that's number one. Number two is, what's interesting is on anything, whether it's athletics or business, as you ascend and grow, you just see how much more is out there and opportunity is out there. It's like looking through the bottom end of a funnel. Like, as you go up, you just see how much wider and higher you can go. Now, I'm a believer that life in business is about levels. So you get through a certain level. Well, getting to the next level is a lot harder than the previous level. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they get to a certain level, they feel really good. They're like, I don't know if I have it in me to kind of push through the next one. Fortunately, so far, I haven't come into that where it's like I've been burnt out or I don't want to push into the next level. So for me, I'm all about pushing into that next ceiling, and I can see what that is. And I'm really excited about the opportunity we have in our business. But for us, Keith Nichol and, other guys in our firm can only do so much. They only have so much time and so much capacity. So the only way we're going to grow is by bringing on tremendous people, very selectively, advisors and firms to be a part of what we're growing. I think we have a very unique value proposition in the sense that, I'm in my mid 30s here, where most advisors think the average age of an advisor is like 65 or something like that, approaching their 70s. We're very progressively aggressive in tech and in investing into what we're doing and giving advisors, team members, advisory firms the best opportunity and chance to grow. So I talked about earlier, like if I can make you succeed, then all of us are going to succeed. And so that's all we're thinking about. We just hired a director of technology and automation to make our efficiencies internally that much better. Now that type of hire doesn't usually happen unless you're a massive institution, or you've been doing this for 40 years and you have a sizable practice just by being around a long time, right? But we're doing it at a very young stage in our business, and we feel that, hey, if we can improve the efficiencies and optimize what our advisors are doing, or our team members are doing, they're going to perform better. Our clients are going to perform better. We're going to become more attractive because of that. And then to answer your question, if you want to expand, we're going to go into other markets. And there's some key markets strategically my eyes on around the country that I want to get brick and mortar into to represent our business and our brand. But you have to be very selective with who you bring in because they are going to represent your brand and have to reflect and have the same values and the standard that we talk about that we believe in. So that's the next vision, is going into the next markets around the country.
And really it sounds like surrounding yourself with the right people.
It's it.
Right? Making sure that you're bringing in and surrounding yourself with the right people. Because like we were talking about before, things pivot, things change. Sometimes you end up lining up on the wrong side of the field and being in the wrong position.
Yeah.
And you're a person that is willing to pivot when needed and change when needed because you're surrounded by the right people.
Right.
Right. And you won that game because you were surrounded by the right people. You all knew what you needed to do. And then when the ball came down, you caught it. And like you said, you pushed it to the next level.
Yeah. I mean,
you pushed it right through the
thousands. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to trust in yourself and have almost like arrogantly amount of confidence, right? That you're going to that you've been trained, you know what to do. Mm-hmm. You're going to go out there and perform and just trust your instincts and trust your teammates and trust your coaches. You can't control everything. Control what you can't control. And so for me, it's like when things are going great, good. Keep making fast decisions. When things aren't going well, good. Make fast decisions and don't let perfect get in the way of good, because I do trust that at the end of the day, if things aren't going the right way, that it'll make another decision, and hopefully that's the right one, or we'll make decisions until they are the right one. But you have to make them fast.
Believe in your ability to do what's next and to do what's right.
Yep, exactly.
And believe in the track record of, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know that if I make decisions for the right reasons with the right people, we're going to find a way to land. Exactly. We're going to find a way to score the touchdown.
Yep.
Simple as that, right? And you're very, very good at surrounding yourself with great people. Your ability to build and grow relationships is off the charts, and something that people could learn a lot from. If they follow and pay attention to you, they will realize how to become a master of relationships. Yeah. You're very, very good at it. It's a skill that's not trainable. It just is.
I think you're probably right. But if I were to push back, I'd say, listen, building great relationships isn't overly difficult. You lead with providing value to people. Never be self-serving about a relationship. So of course, focus on people that you admire, respect, or want to be somewhat like in any capacity. A lot of times people tie that to financials, like, oh, this guy's worth X amount of money, so I want to go get around him and be around him, and somehow by inertia you'll become successful too. And sometimes it happens, but I think if you were to paint the ideal avatar of what you wanted to be, there's not one person on the planet that is likely going to be exactly what you want to be, but you can find 5 people that, if you were to combine them all, are probably the exact avatar of what you want to be. So spend your time very intentionally around those people, but you're only going to do that if you can provide value to them. Mm-hmm. They're not just successful people aren't just going to add another Klingon to their group. So provide value and be yourself. Just be yourself, and because people can read through when you're disingenuous. Be yourself, provide value, and again, get around the best people you can, and a lot of things will take care of itself.
Gosh, it's so true. Well, Keith, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited not just to see where you go the next 5 years, but to see where we go the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I believe that our friendship and our relationship is just getting started. I think we're on the front end of it. And I'm so excited to see where we can take this over the next, 5 to 10 years. I'm blessed and honored to have you in my life. Thank you so much for coming on today. Guys, I hope that this episode was helpful for you. And I hope that you can see that being the person you're meant to be in this world matters, and being the best version of yourself and trusting your ability to look behind the curtain and see what the world has in store for you is important. Guys, go out there and be yourself today, because the world needs you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.